CLG taking the victory though 2-1, winning the first, winning the third game. I've got to ask you how it feels to to come out against our defending champions with your new team in APX and kind of establishing yourselves with a 2-0 week total.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit surprising, but we knew that after we beat Energy, we're still we felt kind of confident going in, and we just decided to play our own game. We knew that CLG was going to be good, but we just played our own game, and then we adapted during the mid-series, and yeah, I think we just played really well.
Something that's been a bit of a revelation for us on the desk and probably a lot of fans is Ray. I think we didn't hear too much about him coming into the season, and then he's just blown us all away with his play. So what's it like working with him, and is the communication there? We know he's the Korean players, how all that fits together.
Yeah, it's just, it's kind of like the same with how Tip was. I just have to, work with his communication a little bit, or we have to work with his communication a little bit because his English is still not there yet, obviously. But just as a top laner, you just have to TP, and then he does his thing pretty much. So
yeah, he's pretty independent.
he's really strong, and we boot camped in Korea last month, and I was pretty blown away by how well he did.
Yeah, stellar performances, especially on that Fizz, showing a mastery of that champion. I do want to dive into some replays of this game, the one that closed it out. So I'm going to have you help us walk through all of them as we go. Starting 19 minutes into the game, this is where you guys kind of found your way back into it. CLG had a slight lead leading up to this. It's a 5-0 off the back end of this engage on Xpecial.
Yeah, I don't even think we were planning on fighting here, but then they just walked in, so honestly, these fights are just us trying to play slow, and then they were just trying to run away, and we played it clean. There's nothing much to say except for CLG kind of made a mistake, and then we capitalized on it.
Right, yeah, we did see, of course, that he had blown his flash right before that, and then, so again, definitely a little bit of an overextension, a little misplay on his behalf, but great capitalization on your guys' part. So as we mentioned, the 5-0 near the Dragon, plus this mid-turret kind of evened up the gold, if not gave you guys a slight lead. But I want to ask you a little bit about team fighting. As you mentioned, still working on the communication. You guys did have that boot camp opportunity. In terms of shot calling, in terms of these mid-game team fights, who's playing that leadership role for you?
It's mainly just Xpecial shot calling the most, and then Keen kind of working to communicate. Everyone's trying to communicate the most they can, but it's mainly just Xpecial shot calling, and it's proven to be really, really good.
All right, moving ahead in the game, 33 minutes of the game. This is where we're like, all right, Apex, they've got control. 33 minutes in, 2-0, plus the Baron on the back end of this. Specifically as it comes up, Keen playing pretty stellar here with his bomb placement. But in general, you guys as a team seem to be operating in your team fighting exceptionally well.
Yeah, Keen has a huge ult there to save Ray from going down, and coming back at full health is pretty different than having a GA, because you don't need to back off the fight. They're able to keep fighting. Keen just keeps hitting these huge double
bomb there.
Yeah. Yeah, Keen just played really well, and like I said, we just have to play these team fights slow because we're working with the Zillion ulti, we're working with double bombs, and I'm just playing in the back doing Caitlyn things, so we got a big lead off that. We got Baron.
Yeah, what was interesting was when we were looking at the damage numbers, you guys were almost all even on your team. Yeah, only a couple thousand apart. So I think it's really cool to see that kind of team synergy, everyone there, everyone doing their work.
Yeah. What I thought was actually more interesting, and not that this necessarily points to one thing or the other, was the fact that 3 members of CLG had higher damage than your guys' highest damage dealer, which if anything is just indicative of the fact that when you guys were dealing damage, it actually resulted in 1 fights, and therefore you could take advantages off of it. Want to move us now to the final fight of the game-winning fight as this comes up. Again, speaking to Ray's proficiency on Fizz, we do notice him. He's going to be 1v3ing in the back line, and then a nice little intricacy as he picks up a Zillion bomb to kind of take it into the rest of the team. But if we walk this one out, I think a lot of our one of the fears we did have was the amount of damage that could come out from this CLG squad, and the fact that you guys were able to deal with the amount of damage and DPS that they could put out.
Yeah, I actually made a mistake here. I was caught out of position because my team was so far in, but they wanted to fight it, so they just they went in, and then I ended up just kind of cleaning up with my damage, and Ray just played this fight really well.
Were you like, Keen, save me?
Yeah, I actually did. I was like, I need help, I need help. So yeah, my team just played it really well. I actually didn't do that much this fight, but it was good at the end of the game.
Getting focused and living is it's doing something, I'd say.
talk to me about the way that the team is approaching the development of the meta. We've thrown this question to a lot of different people because we're noticing that what might have been a result of like different scrim partners, certain teams high priority on the likes of Vlad or Swain. Other best of threes are completely ignoring it. We're seeing you guys jump at that Zillion, where we also saw TSM play Zillion as well in their series against CLG, but not too many teams are jumping at that. So how are you guys kind of deciphering and going about figuring out the A+ meta here?
I don't really know how we've figured it out.
So he doesn't want to tell us.
This feels good. I guess we'll play that.
Yeah, so I mean, we obviously practiced some Swain and Vlad, and we actually didn't practice it too much, but we just realized like how strong it was, and then throughout the week, we kind of noticed its priority or its lack of priority as well. So we just threw it out, and then people just started banning it. So we're like, okay, I think people don't know how to deal with this, and then we just started to prioritize it more and more. And then as you saw throughout this series, people just banned their pick, this type of thing.
All right, I do want to move us to the player of the game for this one here. It's going to go to Ray.
Yeah.
6, 1, and 4 on that Fizz. You've already kind of hit it. He's been a monster. I am kind of curious. We've seen some Riven. Hooney's playing Riven currently on the other stream right now. We've also seen the likes of Fiora and some of those more carry top laners. For Ray, is he the kind of person that can straddle that line between tank and carry at any time?
Yeah, he definitely wants to.
Okay, all right. There's a couple pocket picks along with that statement that we're going to see at some point, I know.
So, I mean, he wants to do that, but we have to, say, no, we won't stay away that from now. Because right now, it's, harder for him to do stuff like that. Just because we're a newer team, we need to work some things out before he can do that. But he's definitely one of those players that can have, a pocket pick and then just win the lane type of thing. Yeah.
And then I just want to get your honest assessment of CLG. Now that you've played them in the best of 3, and we know that they had that 2-0 defeat against Team Solo Mid after coming off of a great MSI performance. So just want to kind of get your thoughts on that team and how they develop and maybe where they need to shore up some weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, so when we saw the match versus TSM, the first game, we were kind of surprised how well TSM did, or I think it was mainly how well TSM did.
Okay.
And then we're still unsure how well or how good CLG is. And so when we played them today, we kind of noticed that they're kind of the same. They're the same style. They kind of rely on the split pushing thing that they took out, that they won with in game 2.
Right.
And so we just try to stay away from that, learned what we can do against that. And then, yeah, I mean, I still think they're a good team, obviously, but they definitely aren't looking as strong as they did last season.
Yeah, it seemed like the only game they really got their stuff going was that game 2 when they had the Trundle and you just kind of mowed down your turrets. So I understand what you're saying. I hope we see CLG evolve a little bit over the course of the season and
It's just week 1, right?
Yeah.
It's just week 1. There's plenty of time for all the teams to make moves throughout the standings. Apollo, I want to thank you for the interview. And again, congratulate you on the 2-0 start to your guys' summer split on your new team in APX. We are headed to a break, but don't go anywhere because when we return,